Okay, now that we've configured our global settings, we're going to go into the individual items and see if there are any more settings that need to be configured. To start with, on this island cabinet, we don't want to use 3/4 for the front. We want to use 1 inch. So we'll change that setting. On a loose part like this, we also let you choose which edges you want to be edge banded, if any. And this can be really handy because now you can take this part and use it for any purpose. You can build your own cabinet with it, or you can make a desktop or side panel or anything else that you would want a pre-cut, pre-edge banded part for. Okay. For our other cabinets, let's click through and see what other settings we have. Okay, so on our 3-drawer base, if you recall, this description says that it has a top drawer datum. Let's scroll down and see if there's anything that we can spot. We set all these with the global settings, but here is the top drawer height. And this has a little description. It says what the parameters are. And this is basically so that on all the cabinets that have this variable, which includes many of the ones with the top drawer or sink base, that height will match across the entire project. So typically, when most designers are looking at the drawers, they don't really care what the size of the bottom drawers are as long as the reveals, horizontal lines between the fronts all line up. So we can guarantee that by setting this. And in this case, I'm just going to make it arbitrary, 6.5. Okay. The bottom panel, we can add leg levelers, which we will because they are very useful. And we'll note that we also have some handy plinth bases, which would need to be added as separate items because this would span across multiple cabinets. And these could get configured the same way as any other cabinet. In fact, on the height, you can make it up to 48. You can make it up to 96 wide and up to 48 deep, which is a very large object. But most plinths are going to be somewhere around 4 inches high. And then, yes, that should be obvious. So let's go back to the configuration of our 3-drawer base. And we're looking at leg levelers. And finally, we get to the gap settings. Now, if you know anything about modern overlay cabinetry, you may know that the gaps or reveals between the fronts are a very important part about making the project look really top notch. And there are lots of different methods of doing this. And so we offer the control for each cabinet to be configured with the gap separately. And so how do you make this work in a way that's fairly straightforward and simple, intuitive? So let's look a little bit closer at this. When we zoom in here, you can see that on the sides, our gap is the same on the side and on the top, but where the cabinet meets a second cabinet, it's smaller so that the left cabinet and the right cabinet share half of the reveal. Same here. And then we have a full reveal on the right. These are set automatically. Okay, you can see that here on the left side cabinet, we have a full 1/8 reveal, but where the cabinets meet, we have a 16th and a 16th. So we're just going to bear that in mind while we're setting these gaps. For our 3-drawer base cabinet, let's just take a look. Okay, so we have this one set on the right is going to be full, and on the left is going to be half. Full right, left half, and the bottom is going to be 0 because it's flush to the bottom of the cabinet. And this can be set however you want. You could, in theory, make the gaps arbitrarily, but we tried to keep it simple, 0, full, or half. And we update and move on. Okay, so on their sink base, we have all the same settings. I'll take a moment to note here, if you exclude the front parts, basically what that means is we're going to still generate all the production data for those fronts. And we will even put the machinings in for the hinges on the inside of the cabinet, but we are not going to produce those parts for you. And this would be very useful if you are doing any kind of custom veneer work where you want the fronts to be made in your own shop, or if you're going to order them from another vendor, that's perfectly okay by us. We'll give you the dimensions to order off. Okay, I'm going to move on. This one is going to also include leg levelers. And here, for our sink bases in the middle, it's going to get a half on the left and a half on the right and 0 on the bottom. Let me update. For the dishwasher, is on the left is going to be full, and on the right is going to be half. So this doesn't have leg levelers because it doesn't have a cabinet. So the left is full and the right is half, and on the bottom is flush. And update. Finally, for our right side unit, okay, and this is going to be on the left side of the island. So we'll put this full left and half right. Okay, looking through, these are all good. And here we have parametric shelves, and we'll cover that in a moment. Okay, so this is going to be a full left and a half right and a flush on the bottom. Parametric means that things are automatically adjusted based on the overall dimensions. And if you look at the dimensions for the shelves, we put one shelf every 10 inches, or you can specify the number of shelves that you want. So here we're going to put 2 shelves in these cabinets. Date. And finally, on this cabinet, it's the opposite. It's going to be a full right and a half left. Yes. 2, full right, half left, 0 bottom, date. And that's it for the configuration. Now, if you do have any special instructions that you would like us to consider, we will take a look at those before processing. And if not, then we are ready to submit